Yeah, I've been noticing a lot of things on YouTube, and maybe it's partly because I tend to listen to some of these conspiracy type channels, but actually, my personally, I don't buy into that whole way of thinking exactly the way most people who are into that type of stuff do. I realize human nature is a certain way, so but and it's really nothing's really changed in thousands of years. There are conspiracies. People do conclude together, and various things happen. But primarily, YouTube is not about that. It's kind of a lot of it's entertainment and things like that. I saw a number of people that are kind of complaining about the new YouTube format, and I looked at that, and I said, yeah, I don't like it either. Just being honest, right? But is it going to stop me from using YouTube? No, not at all. But it makes me wonder if there's a lot of people. I'm not sure how it actually got changed, and sometimes I think it's from the inside or special consultants being hired, to see how we can increase profitability and all this type of stuff. Now with MySpace, who was that guy Anderson, whatever the heck his name was, I forgot. But he was the one that started that, and then they bought it out, and it just took off. But it was kind of like almost like a cult thing at one time. And actually, I liked it when it was back here in this time frame. It was pretty cool. And I got off the thing because I don't like it anymore. And a lot of people were complaining. But somebody said, this is where we're going to change things, and nobody really had a problem, and they changed it. But usually what I think it is, it's not so much like, it's usually some know-it-all in a suit that's trying to sell something to somebody that's looking at the financial information, and they're saying that, this is how we can improve things, and so I want to show you what people are doing over here, and we're going to do it just like this, and this is going to generate, and they have all these charts and graphs and all this stuff, how everything's going to come out great. But nobody was, like, say for instance when MySpace first came out, nobody who was like an egghead suit, whatever you want to call it, was even came up with this idea. It was just some schmo. It was like I forgot who the guy was, but Anderson, I think it was, and it took off like crazy. It took off like crazy, and that's where a lot of times money people are kind of out of touch with what goes on. But it could possibly be the same way with YouTube. It could be. It's not going to affect me, but I noticed there were some complaints out there. But if you're looking at what happened with MySpace, it declined. Now Facebook was in a steep increase, but it's declining. People are getting bored with it. I guess it's all about entertainment. Now, to me, YouTube can be a combination of entertainment, but it's also it's pretty cool because it could have how-to stuff like that if you really need some information, versus reading like a written word, like in his article, blah 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 blah, that you see hands-on how something's done or whatever, or some idea that somebody had. That's pretty good. A good exchange of information, and it's partly entertainment and things like that too. It could be music and all kinds of cool stuff. But so I think YouTube is not going to go away. But I think depends on how much they change things, because there's probably competition, and obviously Facebook was competition for MySpace. I never liked Facebook at all, period. Never did. And I don't like MySpace at all anymore either. But I think other things came out like Bebo and Tumblr and Twitter and all those different formats. But it was a matter of they weren't really listening to the users as much. And this is actually what happens when you get people that are too into the numbers, because you get this hierarchy that's out of touch. And somehow this guy that started MySpace, for instance, he was in touch with reality, and it was a slick idea. It was a slick idea. A lot of people caught on to it. A lot of people liked it. But it could be the same thing that's going to happen with YouTube through maybe competition. But actually, I'm not really putting this out here as a, an extreme criticism or anything like that, but just kind of as a word to warning, as far as what could happen, and I think really most of the problem is that you got financial people looking strictly at numbers, and I commented something on even when I ran, when there's something unrelated to this, but when, say for instance, they had the oil companies who were in control of the Shah of Iran, they could have easily stopped this Shah because the people were against him for very good reason, and they could have still had their money still flowing in and control over the oil and everything like that, and install the guy that was benevolent, a benevolent dictator. But quite obviously, sometimes when you look too much at the money angle, you screw up, you lose touch of reality. So it could be the same case with possibly that's going to be happening with YouTube, because I don't know. I mean, I see one microcosm of what's going on, and there are people that I keep seeing that don't like the new format, and me, well, I don't like it, but I don't really care too much, I mean, I just put out some videos. Mainly I started putting them out, car videos, and that was the main reason I actually got on there, because there was a number of people having a problem with the older convertible that I like, and I decided to put more of the financial videos out on more things, like the way the markets are going, because I think people are getting scared about a number of things that they shouldn't be scared about, but they're also not looking at the reality of the situation as much as they should be. As far as, there could actually be an economic collapse. That's something I think is legit. But, I don't get into the drama. I get into reality. Probably it's one reason, I think drama sells, reality doesn't. But as far as, YouTube possibly getting out of touch, obviously the entity's not getting out of touch as a whole, but I think there's people on the top might be steering the organization in the wrong direction. And there were some very, very, very smart people that told MySpace to do this, and they fell right off a cliff, because you don't see the end of the cliff right here. And it's probably the same thing's going on with Facebook. So it's good to keep your ear to the ground and exactly what the feedback from users is. I don't know, I don't particularly like it, but it's not going to change my usage of it or anything. But I think there's a number of people that don't like it. So, and to just point out again, there were some very smart people selling things to the money people on the top, saying, oh, we're going to push MySpace up a curve like this, way up here. Guess what? That never happened.